and our own intelligence communities report about MBS's role in it. Donald Trump is willing to put it all behind him. You know, Kate, you said earlier that you understand the politics of the way the world works, but MBS seemed more, I won't say apologetic, but conciliatory about what had happened than President Trump.
How do you understand, Kate, what we should and need to be doing with Saudi Arabia versus the display that was put on at the White House today?
Well, look, I think in order to advance America's interests in the Middle East and beyond, I do think it is necessary for the United States to work with Saudi Arabia. Certainly in the Biden administration, there was an effort to try to normalize relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. There is a lot of important work there that goes back pre-Trump, pre-Biden, goes back many decades. And the Saudis play an important security role in the region. And I think it would be foolish for the White House to ignore that. However, there is a difference between doing that work substantively and bringing MBS into the Oval Office, and not just bringing him into the Oval Office, but bringing him into the Oval Office and saying he didn't know anything about that killing, and essentially trying to absolve him publicly of something that our own intelligence agencies have said that he directed. So that, to me, was an incredibly unnecessary and frankly appalling thing to say. But the larger question of working productively with the Saudis, I think that is a responsible thing for the government of the United States to do.
Yeah, he didn't just distance himself from the question. When the question came up about U.S. intelligence finding that the Crown Prince likely directed the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. Often when there's tough questions in the Oval Office, I've seen a bunch of these meetings now, the president will almost refer to the foreign leader to answer the question and defer it. And this one, he didn't distance himself or defer. He leaned in and almost scoffed at the question. You know, on the same day that Jamal Khashoggi's widow is hoping that the White House could urge the Saudis to return the remains of Jamal Khashoggi, the president answers that question by essentially saying, well, he was a controversial figure and many people didn't like him, somebody who was doing his job as a journalist. It was stunning. It's a stunning moment.
I want to watch a little bit more of what the president had to say with MBS, because he talked about and he was referring to a moment where apparently there was a fist bump from President Biden. But this is how Donald Trump discussed his greeting of MBS today. Watch.
We've worked with all presidents.
Does Trump blow them all away?
No, it's another league, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
And Trump doesn't give a fist pump. I grabbed that hand. I don't give a hell where that hand's been. I grabbed that hand.
I mean, Brad Todd, that hand probably has a lot of blood on it.
Well, Donald Trump's a very personal leader. This is his style, and he loves to play host at the White House. You may remember when Zelensky came to the White House, even as J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio were put a little pressure on him, Donald Trump sort of took up for Zelensky for a while. He likes to play presiding officer. That is a big part of his success in negotiating people. And if, you know, when you ask about the U.S. relationship with Saudi, as Kate says, it's complicated. We have Iran sitting in the same region as their rival, and you have to play Saudi Arabia off Iran. Saudi's always going to have controversies with the United States. There's a trial coming up about the 9/11 victims that we're going to learn a lot more about. I don't think we'll ever be in a place
those victims are not thrilled, by the way.
Where that relationship,
their statement they put out
not
today.
Complicated. Well, they have their day in court, and they deserve it. And we're going to learn a lot more when that happens. We do need Saudi Arabia to check Iran. We do need the progress from the Abraham Accords from the first administration, what Biden administration tried to continue. We need that to continue, to hold Saudi Arabia in our camp, not China's camp. I want to give the president a little rope to do that.
And it is true, just quickly, it is true that the theatrics of these kinds of meetings are an important part of how they play out, and the choreography and the personal interaction between the leaders are